Welcome to Vigorous Mindset. I'm Coach Steve. Let's talk about genetics and how you can figure out if you have good genetics or not. But we'll have to differentiate between genetics for gaining size and genetics regarding your shape, your muscularity, your muscle insertions, muscle bellies, how the skin lays on top of the muscle, how lean you're going to get, etc. So let's go by the mass first. It's always the fun aspect. You'll know within 6 months of training if you have a genetic predisposition to be huge. You know, you go to the gym with a group of friends, you all start training, you have no idea what you're doing, but if one of you guys, hopefully you, it wasn't me, but hopefully it's you, is going to get way bigger, way faster than everybody else. You don't know anything about training, you don't know anything about nutrition, and hopefully you don't know anything about PEDs, but hey, it's 2020, some people have their cycle before they have their gym membership. It's not the real way to grow. Hopefully, you work your way up to your genetic potential before you start juicing. You start training, and hopefully you grow. Within 6 months, you're really, really big, and a bodybuilder like me, or your local bodybuilder at the gym, will come to you and say, hey, dude, you have potential. You're growing fast. You're big. You got nice shape. You know, that's the second part of the genetic makeup. You have nice shape. You look good. Why don't you step it up a notch and let me guide you? If you have really good genetics, this is 9 out of 10 times what it's going to turn into. One guy, like me, somebody else, is going to come to you and would want to help because he probably doesn't have the best genetics, but he has 10, 20, 30 years of experience, which can help you, the genetic elite with no experience and no knowledge, basically. He can help you turn that into something ready for the stage. He might ask you to compete. He might ask you, let me help you work out some sort of compensation, or maybe he does it for free, pro bono, after you get your pro card, whatever. The help will come to you if you've got good genetics for size. And I've seen that in my life 2 times, unfortunately. Only 2 times where a guy signs up to the gym, he just grows to the point they almost get stuck. And then a guy like me or somebody else will say, hey, dude, you got great potential. Let me guide you the rest of the way. And then hopefully the young guy, the guy that just started training with the good genetics, is smart enough to notice a good coach from a bad coach. Because a bad coach is going to, force all the drug on him. Oh, you need this and this and this and this and this and no blood work required. And then a good coach like me is going to take them to their genetic potential first. Yeah, their natural potential. Make them do blood work and then maybe sprinkle a little bit of PEDs on top because a genetic elite doesn't need that much PEDs. And even some guys can turn pro naturally. Okay, they're not going to look as hard, as dense, as grainy, as freaky, as the guy on cycle, but maybe they can carry themselves with the muscle insertion and the skin texture and the size that they were able to acquire without PEDs. Maybe they're able to turn pro. And nowadays, with men's physique or classic physique, it's easier to turn pro at a smaller body weight and a smaller size. So, when I say pro, I mean all the classes. Bikini class included, you can turn pro without drugs. It's not required. But, if you want to step up to the next level and get really, really freaky big, it's probably required. That's a different story. So when it comes to the muscle insertions and shape and your structure and how your muscle looks and how you, look when you're lean, that's going to determine in which class you're going to fall. So if you've got a very small waist, broad shoulders, maybe high lats, men's physique might be good. Now, if you're growing for free, that's a downside because now you're way too big for a men's physique. Your lats are too high, which in bodybuilding, in classic bodybuilding or open bodybuilding or the 212, you want big, wide, low lats. And so I noticed a couple guys who are easy to get big. They use like a minute amount just to get that freaky look on stage. And they don't train too hard because otherwise they'll grow out of the class. And because their structure doesn't allow them to compete in some of the other classes where their size actually wants to take them, they'll just keep it small and do the best they can because their structure tells them, hey, your structure is like, hey, okay, you would do well in men's physique. And maybe if you've got nice, round, bubbly muscles, but they don't grow as much, maybe classic bodybuilding is for you, or athletic physique. It depends on which federation you compete in. So for me, genetically average, Now I'm finally at a point where I can compete in classic physique. But my structure doesn't really allow it because my waist is a little bit wider, you know? So I have to pull in a vacuum. For the guys of you that follow me on Instagram, you always see me pull a vacuum because if I flex my abs, I just look boxed and my obliques just point out. It's not a pleasing look. So suck it in. Classic physique is where I need to be. I would need to do a vacuum in every pose, front double bicep, back double bicep, abs and thighs, single arm, everything's vacuum. Yeah? So I would be able to fit into the classic physique. Now, I don't have the genetic makeup to go into the open class, unless I'm willing to abuse the PEDs, which I'm not going to, and I should have started probably 10 years earlier. So that's, for me, that's off the map. Yeah, I would be able to do classic. Men's physique, definitely not, because my waist is twice the size of most of the guys in men's physique. So I would be considered a classic bodybuilder after 20 years. 20 years of training, yeah, with average genetics. Okay, fine. That's fine. I've seen a couple of guys that grow into the open class within 2 years. It's scary because you see them grow. And you know, they learn as they go, obviously. They start to train harder and pay a little bit more attention to their diet. And they hopefully get some good guidance from one of the veterans in the sport that say, hey, you know, do your blood work, take these drugs, don't take these drugs, pay attention to your health, use the health supplements, focus on your digestion, don't use the insulin, you know, don't get this bloated stomach. Hopefully you get some good guidance. And then by the time you turn pro or you get on stage and you start doing well, you don't have any of the scars, just call it scars, of trying to push it. Because you see a lot of guys in the amateur ranks, they don't have that good genetic makeup, and they start pushing it. Side injections, overuse of insulin and growth hormone leading to, you know, distended stomach, or pushing the food a little bit too much, or getting really overly heavy to the point they have lower, skin folds in their lower abs because their bellies was out to here, you know, the entire off season, trying to creep up to 300 pounds when their body weight isn't really meant, or their body isn't really meant to be 300, maybe 240 at max. Yeah, and you push 60 pounds on it, that's a little bit much. When you start training within the first 6 months to 1 year, somebody that's a veteran in the sport, hopefully make sure you train in a gym where there's bodybuilders. If you start training in a fitness center where nobody has a clue what they're doing, and they're not athletes, or they're not competing, or they don't do any sorts of real sport, nobody's going to notice you because there's nobody with the experience to notice what you are and what you can bring to the table and what potential you have. So, golden rule, if you want to be a part of the fitness industry, start training in a gym where there's fitness industry, where there's competitive bodybuilders, where there's competitive athletes, where there's coaches, where there's, other sports, people who are serious. You know, at the Muscle Factory, we got Muay Thai, we got boxing, we got bodybuilding, and every other class that falls into it. We got a lot of CrossFit athletes, we got powerlifting, strongman, Olympic lifting, we got everything. It's so diverse. And you see the potential. I see the potential in some of the athletes. And the other guys that like to train, let's powerlifting, and they're in the powerlifting corner. Okay, the strongest guy in Thailand will notice them and said, hey, you're progressing way faster than everybody else. Let me show you some technique. Okay? So you have to be in a place, if you're just coming up, make sure you're in a place where there's people with experience. Yeah? You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, but go to a place where there's smart guys in the room to guide you, given that you have genetic potential. Yeah, because there's always somebody willing to help. So within the first year, you'll know if you have good genetic potential to be a pro, or put on size, or have good shape, or should be able to compete at the high level. You'll know within a year, and hopefully you get some good guidance along the way. And then the second step is how you would respond to the drugs. Because if you really want to compete at the higher levels, you need to be hard, dense, grainy, etc. And some people need more drugs to acquire that look than others. But the guys that require more drugs to get that look, the top amateurs that don't really have the genetic makeup to turn pro at the bodybuilding or 212 or whatever, they're going to gas out. they're going to ruin their health before they turn pro, or when they turn pro and when you really need to step up your game, they've exhausted all options, and now their health is not, it's not up to par anymore to be able to tolerate the next step, the next level. So at one point you reach your genetic makeup, you sprinkle a little bit of PEDs with some good guidance, and then how you respond to that will determine in which class you might be able to compete in. If you don't respond that well, but you still got good shape, okay. Men's physique, classic physique, athletic physique, bikini, that's for you. If you're on a hormone replacement dose and you blow the F up, and you're over 250 pounds or over 105 kilos, 110, 130 kilos on minute baby dosages for everybody else, you know, at one point you reach your genetic potential, you sprinkle a little bit of PEDs on top to take yourself to the next level. You don't ruin your health, and hopefully the 0.0001% of you guys with awesome genetics is going to respond very, very well. And then with 10 years worth of work ethic on top, you're going to look like these pros. And then, you know, you're going to get the interview and say, I never really used much. And it's going to trigger a guy like me, like, I had to grind my way through and go up to 2 grams of gear or more and elevate my liver enzymes and whatnot. But that's the reality of it. You know, it's only a very small percentage of us that are going to go to the top. And hopefully they get some good guidance along the way. Some of them have bad guidance, you know, and they still make it to the top. Because some people are just indestructible, you know. I've seen blood work, and I have no idea how these guys are still functioning. But they're huge, you know. It's some people are just, their health just, they can take a lot. And somehow their health doesn't decline. Maybe that's the third aspect of genetic makeup, you know, where you can abuse yourself without declining your health to the point you kind of collapse on yourself. I think we've seen that enough in the fitness industry now. So let's not go over it. For everybody else with average genetics, don't be afraid to get fat in the off season through calorie surplus. Make sure you stay on top of your health, because muscle is temporary. And as long as you're paying rent, you know, by exercising, by eating, by training, and taking perhaps a little bit of PEDs, you're going to have your body. And then when you get 50, you're going to have to downsize. Yeah. You can't juice forever. And whatever muscle you build over your natural potential, hopefully you build all the muscle you could on your natural potential, that by the time you're 50 and you drop it to a cruise or you go off completely, because of health or other aspects or other priorities in your life, you're able to stay close to your natural potential. It might be you won't look as cosmetically pleasing, but you'll still be big and short. You don't want to be that guy that ruined his health with overuse of PEDs, completely shrink down to a size medium, and it's loose, and then you result it to like, you know what I used to look? I used to look like this. Don't be that guy. I hope that was helpful. After 1 year of training and you turn into a freak, you can put all your eggs into one basket and go the route of trying to get your pro card. And if that wasn't the case, just treat it like a hobby and enjoy yourself. You can full-time bodybuilding as much as you want. Just don't let it detract from your health. Yeah. Hope that helps, and see you guys in the next video.